What is up, my friends? How are we? It is Wednesday night. It is the late night agenda, and as always, I'm here to go through the latest Liverpool news, get your thoughts on it, and see if we can figure out what exactly is happening at our beloved football club. Tonight we're going to be talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course. We're going to be speaking about Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah. We're going to congratulate Dominic Szoboszlai. We're also going to speak about Harvey Elliott and his recovery. And a few words from Georgi Mamardashvili as well about him coming to Liverpool to be the number one. I love that fighting spirit from him. We're going to go through all of that tonight as well. Anything that you guys want to throw into the chat, you know I'm here for it, so let me know and I'll do my best to go through it all in a timely fashion. Right, folks, how are we? I hope you're having a nice day. It's been a bit of a weird one today in the Liverpool world because it really feels like the ante is being up now around all things Liverpool, around all things Trent Alexander-Arnold, and around all things Real Madrid. So we're going to try and figure out tonight where exactly we're at with all of this. Now, tomorrow I'm going to be recording with David Lynch in the early afternoon, so that video will go tomorrow evening, and of course I will address all of these concerns and topics with David as well. But for now, you've just got little old me to go through and see where we're at. Now, I like to start off the streams with another call out of our friends at the Echo for some more of their nonsense headlines and scaremongering. Once again, they're trying to say that Darwin Núñez was jeered and booed off by Uruguay fans, neglecting to mention that the entire Uruguayan team were booed off by their fans because once again they had a poor result, another draw, another goalless draw, and their fans weren't happy about it. But you wouldn't know that reading the Echo. The Echo think, sure, it's only Liverpool player they were booing. It's only Darwin. They really just need to get a grip at this point. Honestly, it's pathetic. We're going to speak about Zubamendi as well, a little bit from David Lynch on Zubamendi. We're going to speak about that. We're going to talk about the Team Talk piece that suggests Liverpool will only be able to keep hold of 2 of their 3 one-to-way stars, or stars whose contracts are running down, I should say. I don't know if they're one-to-way. I certainly hope they're not one-to-way. But it's a bit of a strange one, this, because Team Talk say that we're going to keep 2 of them and lose 1. Very specific about which one they think we'll lose, and we'll cover that in a minute. But then another article coming out from Spain suggests that, well, we're only going to lose 1, but a different one. So let's try and figure it all out together over the next 90 minutes. Right, let's go into the chat and see how everybody's feeling. Craig, is this Marca trying their best to distract us? It's not really Marca as such, Scotty, no. The Athletic, as an example, wrote a piece today saying that Trent Alexander-Arnold is their priority. Trent Alexander-Arnold is their number 1 target at right back, and that's not Marca, that's not AS, that's the Athletic. So now it is the Madrid correspondent at the Athletic, so you know he is probably very focused on Madrid news, which is no surprise. But I don't know where we're at with all of this. I really don't. But here's something that we posted earlier on, and it comes in from, who's this dude? J. Felix Diaz, who said, Liverpool are beginning to accept that Trent Alexander-Arnold will not renew his contract. And this has been the theme of the day today. Lots of vague little stuff around Trent. Fabrizio Romano's gone a little bit different. He said Trent remains one of the options monitored by Real Madrid as revealed in March. Now, this winds me up a bit because Romano likes to play every side of the fence here. He said Trent's priority is to stay with Liverpool in one moment, and now of course he wants to make sure that he gets the coverage and glory and pats on the back if it goes the other way. So now he's saying, as revealed in March, they're looking at Trent. Which one is it, Romano? Which one is it? Does he want to stay at Liverpool? Is that his priority? Or does he want to go to Spain and play for Real Madrid? Too many of these journalists are trying to say play both sides of the fence here. And once again, it's us Liverpool fans who are left scrambling around trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Now look, there is no upside to this. And if Trent Alexander-Arnold does leave, I fear it's going to cause a big divide in our fan base. And I fear it can get quite messy and toxic. And there's no need for it to have gotten to this point. You know, I've said this time and time and time again. There is no rhyme, reason, or justification for Trent getting to this point and the club not have sorted it out. Whether you think maybe the club couldn't give him an offer because he wasn't willing to listen to an offer yet, or whether you think Liverpool just took their eye off the ball. Either way, this is a mess. And here's the thing that I don't see spoken about enough. So we'll all come on tonight and we'll have our say about what we think is going to happen with Trent, what we think is going to happen with Mo, what we think is going to happen with Virgil. You might think one thing, I might think something else, somebody else might think something completely different. But here's what I hope we can all agree on. This is a distraction. This is unnecessary. This is a distraction, and it's going to filter into the dressing room, and it's going to seep through, and it's going to take away the good work that Arne Slot has done so far. And I've said this for a long time. I've always said this. When these international breaks roll around, you're going to see the ante beaten up. You're going to see the stories become more prominent. It's quite frankly disgusting that we're in this point. And the distraction is my biggest concern about it all. Because if we lose them next season, we'll deal with that, and we'll have to deal with that in due course. But right now, we're in a good position. We've had a good start to the season. Everybody should be pulling in the same direction. And I don't want this to become a bigger issue than it already is. So again, you're going to ask the question, what is going on at the club? Why are we not getting anything? Like, it's all very well and good getting Kwanzaa signed up, getting Trainee signed up. That's brilliant. It's all very well and good hearing that it looks like Canade's conversations are going in the right direction. That's great. But there's 3 more pressing concerns that Liverpool fans want answer to, and want answers to very quickly. 10 weeks from now, ladies and gentlemen, 10 weeks from now, these players will be able to negotiate and sign pre-contract agreements with clubs outside of the Premier League, and technically they wouldn't even have to tell Liverpool about it. That's how dangerous this situation is becoming. And as every hour, every day, every week that goes by, Real Madrid are going to become more ballsy, and the players are probably going to come a little bit more disenfranchised with how Liverpool have left it this long to try and sort out their futures. It's just shocking. Poor. Not good enough. And again, I see people trying to defend the owners on this. I've been on the Athletic comment section, and once again people are like, oh well, it's no biggie if he leaves, we'll replace him. Are you mad? Are you absolutely fucking mad? It is shocking if he's allowed to leave for free. We can talk about the Michael Owens, the Steve McManamans of this world. One big difference between when those guys left and now is that Liverpool have had success. Liverpool have been at the top of the mountain in recent years. We've won a European Cup. We've won a Premier League title. And our owners have allowed this situation to develop by taking their eye off the ball. So I don't want to hear from any FSG supporters or apologists on this one, because there is no glossing over it. They shit the bed massively, and we're all going to suffer for it. Because if Trent leaves for free, it's going to cost us a ton of money to replace him. And I don't have faith in these owners that they'll do that. So tonight we're going to try and figure out where we are with all of this. But I have a couple of super chats to run through first. Thank you, Stevie Boy, for kicking us off, mate. Really appreciate it. And look, I'm glad my Wi-Fi seems a bit more stable so far tonight, touch wood. I've been working on it all day, so appreciate your patience with last night. So for me, Craig, Mo Salah and VVD will stay and Trent will leave, but I would love all 3 to stay. That's where Stevie Boy's at. Corbin, 2003, said, do you think Jude is getting in his ear? Yeah, probably, but I would say it this way. Look, yes, we can make that conversation point about Jude getting in his ear, but we also thought that we could get Trent and Hendo in Jude's ear, and that didn't work out the way we Liverpool fans wanted. So I don't know what's going to tilt Trent in one direction or the other here. I really don't, and I don't want to second guess Trent's thought processes. All I can say from the outside is, as a Liverpool fan, the idea of losing a player at the peak of his powers, at 26, a local boy who said himself that he wants to captain the club, the idea of losing him for free, somebody needs to be fired for that. I'm sorry, somebody needs to be fired. That is unacceptable. It's not Richard Hughes' fault. He inherited the situation. But the club have known for a long time that Trent's contract was running down. And this is where we are now at. We are staring down the barrel of losing. I think the common consensus is we're probably going to lose one. You know, whatever you think. You've seen Stevie Boy said he thinks that we'll lose Trent, we'll keep Salah and Virg. Other people feel differently. But very few people I've spoken to are confident that all 3 will get done. And again, my confidence wanes even further when I say that I don't believe and I don't trust these owners to give the manager the tools and the finances to go out there and adequately replace them. Or all of them, or one of them, or how many of them. So look, I'm going to read you through where we're at today. And we'll go from there. So we'll start off with Team Talk. Now, Team Talk today said that Liverpool are only going to be able to keep 2 of the 3 players that his contracts are up. I'm going to read you out a section from it and then we'll talk about it. So it said, Potentially brilliant news to slot. Sources have confirmed to us that the Merseysiders are confident and calm about retaining defenders Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, the latter of whom has been linked with a move to Real Madrid. Los Blancos are targeting the 26-year-old next year and have made the England international's entourage aware of this interest. But the Merseyside team view their academy product as a future captain and do not want to sell him and are prepared to offer him a deal well beyond his current £180,000 a week arrangement. Then they go on to say, our sources suggest that talks between the club and Van Dijk, who is considered extremely important at the Reds, will happen over the next few weeks, and although Alexander-Arnold is flattered by Madrid's interest, his heart is with Liverpool and a contract development is likely to take place. Here's the kicker. However, as we have previously revealed, Salah is expected to see out his contract and leave as a free agent at the end of the season. So that's what Team Talk have had to say on it. Now, I would say again, massive pinch of salt there with regards to Team Talk. But so that's one angle where they say Virgil and Trent likely to stay, Mohamed Salah very likely to go. So let's move on to a different angle here and we'll look at it from another side. This piece here coming in from at Relevo said Real Madrid continue to work on Trent Alexander-Arnold signing. There have always been contacts with the players' camp. While there is minimum chance that he moves in January, some prefer not to rule that out as it would be for a reasonable price. Now, let me say this categorically. Liverpool Football Club will not sell Trent Alexander-Arnold in January. It isn't going to happen, so I don't know how they're pulling out the reasonable price tag out their backside. There is no value to Liverpool selling Trent in January. 10, 15 million quid isn't going to be potentially worth the loss to the rest of this season if Trent wasn't around. So I think that's one we can absolutely put to bed. Not going to happen in January. But more and more stuff are coming out today to suggest that Trent is maybe leaning in that direction, maybe going to Real Madrid. We mentioned that story earlier on where it said Liverpool are beginning to accept that Trent Alexander-Arnold will not renew, and that story's coming in from Spain as well. Again, we had The Athletic talking about them ramping up their interest in Trent Alexander-Arnold. And all of this, if nothing else, is a massive distraction, a massive headache, and something that Arne Slot quite simply does not need. I'm annoyed. I'm very, very annoyed. I'm not annoyed at Trent. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm annoyed at any player because that would be unfair of me guessing about what these players want to do. So for me, my anger and frustrations right now are aimed squarely at the club because they control this situation. Players are going to probably look after number one ultimately. It's their careers, it's their life, I understand it. But how am I, as a Liverpool fan, supposed to believe that owners who are cheap, owners who want to try and make every penny count, have let us get to a situation where, again, I'm going to try and guess figures here, but 250, 300 million quid's worth of footballers are allowed to run their contracts down if they want to and leave for free? How am I supposed to square that off in my mind and think that these people know what they're at and that I'm able to trust these people with our football club? There's just no way, shape or reason that this can be put down to anything other than the owners and the club shitting the bed massively. It doesn't make any sense. And I think you're all right to be annoyed about it and frustrated about it and angry about it. And I see some people are already starting to turn on some of the players. And look, I'm not going to go that direction. Because, yes, of course I have my own views on how I would feel if each one of them or all of them or any one of them left. But I'll talk about them if and when the time comes. Right now, they're not signed off anywhere else yet. The table is still there. We still have an opportunity to go and get it sorted. So what are we waiting for? 10 weeks from today. 10 weeks, they could go, sign, and off they pop at the end of the summer. And once they sign that pre-contract, it's game over. But even once we let it get to the point where Madrid can get in Trent's ear, or other clubs can get in Virgil's ear, or Mo's ear, there's a lot of what I like to call guilt tripping going on here, in that we as Liverpool fans don't want to believe that these guys could ever see a future away from the club, particularly with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And that's a big leap to say that nothing can tempt him. The idea of going to the reigning European champions to play with Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, that has to appeal to a footballer. It has to, let's be honest. And if there is one club you may leave your boyhood club for, it's probably going to be the biggest club in world football right now, which is Real Madrid. So once again, I'm going to ask, how the fuck did FSG let this happen? Danny said, totally agree about it being a distraction. It's all the pundits will talk about after the games. We don't need it. Exactly. And Danny, on top of that, bro, it's all that Arne Slot's going to be asked about in every single press conference. Every time between now and January, that's the first question he's going to be asked. Going to be asked about the contracts over and over and over and over again. And it'll annoy him, and it will annoy the reporters, and it'll annoy the fans, and it'll annoy everybody. And yet again, we seem to be just moseying along, taking our time, no breakthroughs. You know, even this confidence in Virgil van Dijk extending, that piece that I read out there said Liverpool will start those negotiations in a few weeks. Can we only do one thing at once at this fucking football club? Like, how are we starting the negotiations with our captain in a few weeks when he's 10 weeks away from being able to leave on a pre-contract at the end of the season? It's madness. And again, what I would say is, what message does that send to Virgil? You know, we can all say, oh, everybody's calm about the situation, and maybe they are. But with all due respect, nothing is concrete until there's ink on a contract. So confidence is great, but confidence could be unfounded confidence if it doesn't end up in a contract being sorted. George said, hope you're doing well. Hopefully some positive news soon with the contracts. How long have we been asking that for, though, George, my man? It's I love your optimism. I always do, George. But, you know, there's a long way for us to have this sorted out. You know, summer to now, still nothing. No breakthroughs, no good news. We've seen yesterday there was talk that maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold was about to commit to Liverpool for £350,000 a week. Again, today, the narrative seems very different around it. And of course, Trent has always said that he wants to sort this out behind closed doors and he doesn't want it aired out in public, and that's commendable. But it can also mean something else if we're being adults about this situation. Not wanting to talk about it publicly also gives you a get out of jail card to go about your business quietly, and then all of a sudden, bang, here's an announcement, one way or the other. So, you know, there's two sides to that coin as well. Zach said, in a few years, unfortunately, this will probably be the situation with McAllister or Gravenberch. The club always fail to think ahead. It's really annoying. It's really frustrating. Really frustrating. Like, Mane, we got €30 million for. A pittance. Firmino, left for nothing. Many, many players have walked out the door without Liverpool recouping a transfer fee. And this is, you know, we know our owners don't go out and splurge money. We know that if Trent leaves for free, the idea of us maybe going out there and spending 100 million quid on a superstar replacement are nil. It's just not going to happen because they don't do that. The only time we've ever really spent big, Darwin as an exception, was the Coutinho money. Darcy said, Trent wanting 350k a week is ridiculous. If he was to get this from Liverpool, it would kill the wage structure. Of course it would, mate. I'm not disagreeing with you. You've raised a fair point, but look at it this way. In my mind, I call this idiot tax, because the longer it goes on, and I've said this about Mohamed Salah's contracts going back as far as 2.5 years ago, the longer these things go on, the more that the leverage in these negotiations shifts towards the players. And then, if you want them to commit, you have to overpay. Look at what United did with Marcus Rashford as an example. The longer this shit goes on, the more the club are going to have to pony up the dough. So any thoughts that this was a way of saving money by not doing this a year ago is a bit of a false economy. Because as we've just pointed out, most of us probably feel we could have extended Trent a year ago for 250. And that would have been good pay. Now you're hearing the 300, 350,000 pound a week figures, and without being rude here, and again not knowing Trent, you've got the ability to hold the club to ransom. You know, if you're Trent, you're sitting there going, fan base wants me to stay, Real Madrid are sniffing around, my contract's running down. He's got all the aces up his sleeve here, all of them. Give me what I want. And again, I don't know that this is what he's asking for, but give us what we want, or bye-bye. That is how a negotiation works. You want the leverage on your side of the negotiation. And right now, with all due respect to our beautiful football club, I don't see how we have leverage in any of these negotiations. I don't. Maybe you think otherwise. If you do, please do let me know. But I don't see it. Coach Bill said Marcus Rashford is rumoured to be on the PSG radar. I've read that story for a few years. And Barcelona as well. But surprisingly enough, they never actually come in with the bids because they know what we know. That he's just not good enough. Eli Wood said, Trent has all the leverage. You see it in the NFL all the time. Exactly, bro. Exactly. And look, whilst the Red Sox and Liverpool aren't the same, the owner is. And a pattern emerges of not paying players. Not keeping the top talent. And to be fair to FSG, in the main, during their time at the club, we have done that. But how we've let this situation get to this point without learning lessons previously, it just seems unfathomable. That's all I can say. I cannot think of one good reason to allow this situation to get to this point. And also, I don't really see Liverpool out there trying to control the narrative around this either. You know, you can say we don't comment on speculation and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately, media manipulation works, which is why clubs do it. So you see the Real Madrid friendly accounts now coming out, and you're going to see more and more and more of it. We need to start seeing that from our side. We need to have positive words coming from our, if there is any. And if there isn't, we need to hear about that as well. Bro said Red Sox. Yes, I did say Red Sox because they're owned by the same fucking owners. Is that difficult to comprehend? Martin said, I wouldn't renew if it was me. I have no faith in FSG. Same, mate. Look, Trent has every right to question the club's ambition. Of course, as does Mohammed, as does Virgil. They have every right to say to FSG, where's this club going? You can talk about bringing in a good manager, and they have. I think we can agree Arne Slot started very, very well, and whilst, of course, he isn't Jurgen Klopp, he's a good coach. But this is just mental. It's just mental. And again, I still struggle to see how anybody defends this situation. We should be up in arms about this. Liverpool fans should be spitting fucking fire about this. Danny, how are you, bro? There's that sexy son of a gun. How was the time off, Craig? We all missed you. Buzzing for Sunday. Nervous but buzzing. It was a holiday of two halves, or a break of two halves, mate. The first half was nothing but a nightmare. But the last 3.5 days, when we moved into a different accommodation, it was all good, thank you. But it was good to get the mental break in. It allowed me to have a think. And do you know what I decided when I was away? I often like to reflect on how I come on the channel and how I present myself. And I thought about it, and I thought, you know what, Craig, you're being too fucking nice. You're gone too soft, fella. You're being too nice. Not to people. I'll always respect my audience. I always appreciate you guys being in. But I'm calling out stuff because I want to call that out. The Echo tin pot, I'm sick of it. Constantly stoking fear and division. I hate it. They can get in the bin. And I decided that I don't care about commercial side of it anymore. I want to give my damn opinion. And I'm going to give it strong, and I'm going to give it hard, and I'm going to give it as I see it. And if that works, brilliant. But I got to be me. And I'm going to be me. And I don't give a fuck who I offend anymore. Because sometimes stuff needs to be said. And I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't say how I feel. Didn't they do the same to Torres? Promised him that we were going to strengthen the squad and went and sold Alonso and Mascherano. So, I'm somebody who believes everybody makes mistakes. And I'm somebody who believes that when FSG came into the club, they made errors. That's okay. When they come into a club, they take over and they're learning the sport. They're learning who to trust. That's okay. Teething problems, no problem. But then we get to the Super League and all that entailed. And that was the eureka moment for me. That was when I said, this is underhanded, this is devious, and this is two fingers up to the Liverpool fan base who deserve better. No consultation. No thought processes, just we're doing this, you're going to have to go with it, we're joining the Super League. That was the end of it for me. There was no coming back from that. There was no bullshit apology that was going to get me back on side. I am at a loss to understand how anybody still thinks that these owners, they're not the worst, don't get me wrong, they are absolutely not the worst, but they are in it for one reason and one reason only, and that is money. John is cheap. FSG are cheap. Look at our net spend compared to all of our competitors. They're fucking cheap. And people need to start calling them out and seeing through this crap. Mythical Returns. Sorry, bro. I'm struggling to read the name out there for a second. Said, sick and tired of FSG putting us in this position. Enough is enough. Need the contract sorted ASAP. Mate, look, I'm with you. I agree with you. And here's the thing. And I always say the same thing, so I apologise for repeating myself. But I've always tried to be fair. I've always tried to credit our owners for the good stuff that they've done. But I'm not afraid to call them out for the stuff that I think is pathetic. You know, I don't have a vested interest. I don't need to gain access to the club. I don't need to tickle John W. Henry's balls, for want of a better phrase. I'm here to call him out on the stuff that I think isn't good enough. If people are on board with me doing that, great. If they aren't, understand there's plenty of other options out there for people to get their content from. But I'm here to do what I think and hope is best for us, the fans, and our football club. And if that involves calling out our owners from time to time for their miserly ways and their stupid decision making, because remember, we're all being told on a never-ending fucking cycle that these lads are geniuses. That they came in and they reinvented the wheel and they've got a great transfer committee and they're financial geniuses and they bring in all this extra revenue and they get all these great deals. Where's the proof of this on the pitch? When do we, the fans, get to see the benefit of all of this stuff on the pitch? We don't, is the answer. We don't. Whitehammer said Genie started the mad free exodus. And on top of that, mate, he left feeling annoyed by the club. He left feeling undervalued by the club. And that was sad to see. It was sad. And it doesn't set a good example. Again, Genie's perfectly within his rights to feel how he feels. But these aren't any three players we're talking about. Like, Genie was huge. Don't get me wrong. Great player, really be an important part of our success. But these are probably the three biggest. Outside of Alisson, I can't think of anybody in recent history who's more important than these three boys whose contracts are up. Now, these geniuses have let this happen. There is no accounting for that. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. And where are they? On the other side of the Atlantic, of course, yet again. Philip, how are you, my friend? And thank you for your super chat. Said, hey Craig, Trent is irreplaceable, but Salah is. Who do you think that will be? The Salah replacement? Truly, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry for not being able to give you a better answer, Philip, but I really don't know. You know, we'll all have our favourites. But who do I think is realistic is what I take from your question. Gittins was somebody who Liverpool have been linked with. But I just don't know. I don't know who Michael Edwards has in his little black book or what the underlying numbers show or suggest that Liverpool would be best to go after if we lost Mo. But I tell you what I will say. I don't trust them. I don't trust that the answer will be the best player. I trust that the answer will be the best player within a certain price range. And that in itself is sickening. Because they've had a long, long time to figure this out. Whether it's Kudus, whether it's somebody else, it doesn't really matter. The fact that we're in this position where we could lose a player for free and then have to spend a ton of money to replace them is just unthinkable and give him a new deal. But we didn't. And now we've just allowed that deal to dwindle to the point where we now have almost no leverage in this negotiation. And that's where I'm at with it. You can't allow these guys to go because I don't trust that you're going to replace them adequately. And also, we've got Trent who said, I want to captain this club. It's my boyhood club. I've been here since I was a kid. He's now coming into what I think anybody would describe as the peak years of his career. 26, just turned 26. And here's the thing. Here's what I'd be saying if I was the club to Trent. Apart from the obvious stuff. Sorry, I see a little bit of a lag. I see it on my system. I do apologise. Hit that refresh button for me. I'll hang on for a second to go through what I was going to say, but I'm just going to give it a minute so you guys can refresh, and then I'll carry on with the point I was trying to make. And again, I sincerely apologise. So, here's what I was trying to say anyway. Hopefully you can catch up with me on this. If I'm the club, I'm going to say to Trent this. Real Madrid are making a huge play for you. But why? Why are they making that big play for you? And the answer is very simple. Because he's going to be free. If Real Madrid really wanted Trent, they could have came in and bought him 2 years ago. Or tried to buy him 2 years ago. But they didn't. So, that's why I'm frustrated with this. The club should be saying to him, they only want you because you're free, mate. And all the other stuff that we would say to a player. Go over there, you're just another player. Stay here, you'll be an icon, a legend. And do you know what I don't want to happen for Trent? I don't want Trent to be in a position when his career's over, he spends his time having to apologise to Liverpool fans for the move when you see him on television in the future. And it again, I'll say another thing here. If he does leave, and if Mo leaves, or if any of them leave, that's surely got to be an indication that the club aren't matching the ambition that these professional athletes have. You know, because if Trent felt like we are really here to challenge and win, this wouldn't even be a consideration. And that in itself, on top of the Jurgen Klopp stuff, on top of the John Achterberg stuff, on top of Gini Wijnaldum leaving and feeling annoyed, I don't know how many more people have to go and leave the club before people start to join the jigsaw pieces and see that there's a bit of a common denominator here. And that is people not feeling loved and valued and not feeling like maybe the club is going in the direction they want. That's worrying to me as a Liverpool fan. If he leaves and it doesn't work, would you take him back? It would depend on the circumstances of it not working and how we take him back. As an example, I wouldn't want Liverpool to go and pay 65, 70 million quid to bring him back after letting him go for nothing. No. So I don't envision a time where if he does leave, he'll ever come back. No. Because let's say he left and signed a 5-year deal at Madrid. In 2 years' time, if he's shit in the bed and it's not working out at Real Madrid, they're going to want a fee for him. And the idea of Liverpool getting that kick in the nuts where we lose him for nothing, proved that it didn't work out, and then to go back in and throw money at him? No, I wouldn't be for me personally. Craig, maybe Trent doesn't want to sign a new contract. That's why we haven't heard anything. Jonathan, you know, without us all trying to be naive here, if the club know that he doesn't want to sign the new deal, and again, it's a leap of faith here because I don't know, but if they did, to take your question, then you start leaking, mate. You start leaking to friendly journalists that you're doing everything you can, but you're hitting a brick wall. You know, the narrative is important here. The battle for hearts and minds is important here. There's a reason why the likes of Fabrizio Romano exist, and that's to try and wrestle a narrative and to try and paint a picture that suits one narrative of a situation. Madrid making a big play is all today's stuff. So Liverpool need to control the narrative and stop being naive here. If they all leave for free, it'll be like Messi and Mbappe going for free, Neymar going for 70, 80 million. Look, I've no fear that we're going to lose all three, personally. I don't think we're going to lose all three. But let's start a few polls on this because I want to get your feeling on it with Trent. So let me just get this up first. First question, does Trent leave for free? That's what I'm going with here first of all. Does Trent leave for free? So let us know your thoughts on this one, yes or no. And what I would say as well is, to any Liverpool fans who are maybe on social media going in on Trent, you're not helping. You're not. Right now, if there is any hope that Trent stays, we need to make sure that we show him we want him to stay. Not go in on him for some reports in the media. Show him why we are the club that we are. That we want him to stay. That he will forever be supported, idolised and loved at his hometown club. So we need to play our part in this as well. Cameron said we should be careful not to hate too much on Trent if he sees it could make things worse. Exactly. We don't know yet. This is what I keep talking about. There's manipulation going on here with the media from one narrative and another narrative, but we don't know the facts of all of this. So yes, don't be hating on any of these players, because as of yet, they haven't done anything to deserve any of this hate. So let's wait and see on that one. And I'm glad you said that, Cameron, because it's one thing you won't be getting from me yet. I can give you my opinion if things happen, but I'm not going to start hating on people till I know what's going on here. And even at that, my anger is still going to be aimed at the club mostly, because they're the ones who had the control of this situation. Is Nioni a midfielder? Yeah, he is, David. A very, very good midfielder as well. And congratulations to him on signing his first professional contract with Liverpool Football Club. It was lovely to be able to talk about that yesterday. And speaking of good news, because you know what, we haven't had a lot of it lately, have we, as Liverpool fans? So let's talk about Dominik Szoboszlai, and congratulations to him and his new fiancée. Dom posted earlier on at the Four Seasons Hotel in Budapest to say she said yes, and a picture of himself and his fiancée with the engagement ring. So massive love, massive congratulations to Dominik Szoboszlai and his fiancée. Always good to see our players settling down, finding love in their lives and going out there and enjoying themselves. So big love to Dom and his fiancée, and here's to a happy marriage and many happy years together as well. Of course, that follows on from the great news that Curtis Jones and his partner had their first baby as well. Congratulations to Curtis and his missus. Again, love these type of stories. Love to see our players finding love, settling down, starting their families and building these foundations for the rest of their life. Brilliant news. So much love to all those guys as well. Right, I want to move on to speak about Ibrahim Konate, because, you know, I'm liking this little good news corner we're having here for a minute. Fabrizio Romano gave an update on the situation with Ibrahim Konate, and it's a positive update. Fabrizio Romano said Liverpool are making very good progress in negotiations with Ibrahim Konate. Salary is almost agreed, just some small details remaining of the deal. And look, the big man deserves that deal. You know, he was on the bench for the first game of the season when the manager decided to go with Virgil van Dijk and Jarell Quansah. Tactically, the manager took off Quansah at half-time, and since that moment, Ibrahim Konate has seized the opportunity to remind us and the footballing world why we brought him in and what he's about. And he has been phenomenal this season. We'll always give the plaudits to Gravenberch as being the most improved this season, and rightly so. But the big man has been brilliant at the back, and the news that Ibrahim Konate is going to commit his future to the football club, that is something worth celebrating. So hopefully we get that confirmation soon. And I never mean to underplay these things, by the way, because it's brilliant to hear about Ibu. It's brilliant to hear about Quansah. It's brilliant to hear these positive bits of news, but they're not the big three that we're waiting on. The big three that are making us anxious. It's always good to get them out of the way, but, you know, we need to figure out what's going on with the big three contracts. So does Diaz get a new deal soon? It's an interesting question, Kyle, and I've debated this a little bit back and forth with David Lynch, because he's got just under 3 years on his Liverpool deal, Luis Diaz. So if you look at it from the club's perspective, they could say, well, now isn't the time. We have more than enough time to sort out a contract with Luis Diaz in a year or so. My view is, if he continues to show the brilliant form that he started this season with, and he continues to find the back of the net and assist and do all the things he's doing, well, then you don't want him feeling undervalued. You don't want him feeling underpaid. You want to make sure that you see him in your future, but he sees you in his future as well. So I would urge the club to get that situation sorted soon, because we don't want to see a situation where he's looking around at Trent getting a deal, Virgil getting a deal, Mo getting a deal, Ibu getting a deal, everybody getting pay rises. But yeah, he's been one of the stellar performers this year so far, and I feel like I could understand if he felt a little bit annoyed by it. So definitely not one to panic about yet, but certainly one worth keeping an eye on. Craig, did I see KSI's song? No, I haven't, mate. No, not really my my genre of music, to be fair. But wish him all the best. You know, don't know JJ, but yeah, what he's done with his life and what he's managed to accomplish, you know, it is truly phenomenal. It is, like, there's no other way to say it. Like a cultural revolution started there by those guys. So yeah, look, I wish him nothing but the best, but it's not really my thing. I heard somewhere that the club will be improving Diaz's contract after a great start to the season. So yeah, as I said, I've been asking David Lynch about this bit by bit as we talk, and you know, I think he's kind of split a little bit on it, I think, from my memory. But look, I'll ask him again tomorrow. We're going to be speaking together tomorrow early afternoon, and that video will be out tomorrow evening. Tammy said, "Hi Craig, hope you're good. If Trent goes to Real Madrid, and I hope he doesn't, he won't be happy starting off the bench and everything as he's used to starting in Liverpool." Well, right now, Tammy, I don't think he would be starting off the bench because Carvajal's out for a long time. Probably the guts of most of this season now. He's just signed a contract extension, I believe, or agreed one for another year after this year. So they need a right back. And it's almost like serendipitously we've been kicked in the balls here, because the possible worst case scenario of Real Madrid not just keeping an eye on Trent, but now keeping an eye on Trent knowing that their first choice right back is out. That I don't know about everybody else, I can only give you my view, but that really worries me, because now they've even more of a reason to make sure they get him signed up. Jamie Edwards said, "Craig, what's the reason for sorting other players' contracts and not the ones closest to expiring?" There could be a whole host of reasons. I'll give you some I can think of off the top of my head. One, you don't want a similar situation developing down the line. So that's number one. Number two, to show these players that you're rewarding them for their good careers so far at the club, and you want to make sure that they're here for the foreseeable future. So again, no problems with that. And also so you don't get a situation where maybe they feel undervalued. So you got to make sure that's sorted out. But I don't understand the reason for the other three. The three that we haven't got sorted out yet. That I just can't put my finger on. As I've always said, I'm open-minded. And I look at the idea of Mohamed Salah and Virgil with their ages and thinking Liverpool need to be cautious here. I think any rational-minded fan would understand the club treading it with a little bit of caution there, because you don't want to see these guys' form fall off a cliff. So I've been understanding of that. And that's why I've always said I think a 2-year extension for Virgil and Mohamed Salah offered by the club is probably the right length of contract. But with Trent, like I've said all the way through, there's just nothing. There's no rhyme or reason. There is just no reason to be cautious, to be slow playing it. There just isn't. Alex said, watching the Menendez brothers is shocking. I watched it last night, mate. Myself and Sabrina, we watched half of it the night before and we finished watching it last night. And it was certainly an eye-opening story. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. It was an interesting watch, and it was certainly an eye-opening story. S Crypto said, Rashford signed his massive contract renewal. His form and enthusiasm had gone. But he was shit before he signed it. You know, that's the thing. The season before last, Rashford was brilliant. Last season, he wasn't very good. United should have let him walk, because they've just thrown money away there. But I don't think we can say that about Trent, about Virgil, and about Mo. Now, look, I have called Trent out before. You know, go back to that game where we were destroyed by Real Madrid and Trent was strolling around the pitch while Luka Modric was sprinting past him and I was losing my mind. Well, then we've seen Arne Slot come in. And we've seen a defence that is now the best in the Premier League this season so far. I'm not saying we've the best defence in the league, but this season, statistically, we are the best in the league. And Trent's been a part of that. We went over to the San Siro and took on AC Milan. Trent had to mark Rafael Leao, by any account, one of the most talented wingers in Europe. And Trent kind of pocketed him, and Trent did really well. We go to Old Trafford, won at a canter. So, everything should be positive right now. Like, if there was any doubts from the players' perspective about Arne Slot and his coaching staff, you would imagine that they've been eased somewhat by the start of the season we've had. I don't understand it. Like, with Trent in particular, at every stage of this, I've tried to empathise with what's going on. So, Jurgen announces he's going to leave. Will that affect Trent? Of course it will. Jurgen was a huge part of Trent's formative years at Liverpool Football Club and the success that he enjoyed here. So it's understandable that Trent would pause there for a second to reflect. Then you've got the story that, well, he wants to see who the next manager is going to be. Again, I can empathise with that entirely, and I can see a reason why Trent would want to see. So then we announce Arne Slot. Then Trent has to figure out what that means for him. What Arne Slot coming to the club means for his future, his positioning, and if the manager's going to trust them. I think that question has been answered with a massive yes. So now I've run out of empathy and ideas to figure out what more needs to be done. Now, in my mind, it comes down to a straight decision. You want to stay at Liverpool for the peak of your career, or you don't. Because everything else has been answered. You can talk about maybe the club not matching his ambition. And again, I can't answer that because I don't know what's been said behind the closed doors. But all those other questions, I think, have been answered in a positive way. The manager that the club have brought in is a top-notch manager. The backroom staff look like they're very innovative. They look like that they're making exciting sessions for the players and they're not going to get bored. And also, we're managing the load on the players a little bit better by retaining possession of the ball and lots of other little tweaks that I think Arne Slot has made. So I don't really see a reason now for any more doubtfulness from the player side about the quality of the coach being good enough. Stephen Rosca said, Craig, haven't been here in a while, been very busy with university. I don't know if this poll's worthy, but can we discuss something worded like, would leaving Liverpool ruin Trent's legacy? So, I'll tell you why I'm a bit hesitant to do that, Stephen. Because I don't want to go in on the piling on Trent stuff. Because I don't think that's fair yet. You know, we don't know what Trent wants to do. So, hypothetical situations, while I understand that these are conversations we'd probably all have with our mates, I don't want to be involved in the pushing any negative stuff towards Trent. I don't want to be there. So, yeah, for that reason, mate, I'm going to give it a pass, if you don't mind, on the poll. Right, I've got more stuff to go through, folks, because lots of news today. Here's a bit of a mad one from Chelsea, right? So we all know Liverpool got Rio Numoa from Chelsea, and Chelsea weren't very happy about that. Well, according to James Pearce of The Athletic, it looks like they've taken this issue a little bit further, Chelsea. So, reports today said Chelsea have been preventing Liverpool scouts from watching youth games at Cobham following Rio Numoa's move to Merseyside. I don't know where to go with that, because in one sense you kind of understand it, but in another sense, you know, club scouts are attending games all the time, and there'll be video available of a lot of these guys one way or the other. So it does feel like a bit petty by Chelsea at this point, throwing their ties out of the pram because they lost Numoa. And I don't know how the footballing world would react to that news, that they're stopping Liverpool scouts, according to James Pearce, from watching players at Cobham. Connor Kavanagh said, I think the salary cap thing isn't really that valid. Mo, Virgil and Trent are clearly the best players. Look, on Mo, I have to say I want him to stay, but I don't want him to get a pay rise, because I don't think he's going to get better during the next few years. I don't think he's going to get a lot worse, but I don't want to get a pay rise. I think the money he's on is more than enough, and for me that would come down to more the length of contract. I wouldn't move on the wages if I was Liverpool with Mohamed Salah. I wouldn't, because you don't get paid for what you're doing in the past. You get paid for what you're doing now and what you're going to do. So for that one, I wouldn't move on the numbers. For Virgil, the club captain should be one of, if not the highest paid player at the club, in my opinion. Maybe not the highest, because Mohamed Salah is an exception. So I think Virgil, a little raise, a slight raise maybe, because I do believe Virgil's improved from last season to this season. So I would think maybe a little raise there. Small amount, maybe 20, 30 grand a week, something like that. Small amount. For us, that's huge money, but for these guys. And then for Trent, again, like I said earlier on, you're going to have to pay the idiot tax because you allowed the situation to develop. So a deal that was probably a 250 grand a week deal a year ago is now probably somewhere between 300 and 350 grand a week to get him to commit at this point. Somebody asked a question of me as well. Do I think Real Madrid would pay him that much? No, I don't. But it's what he's worth to you. Remember the Jack Grealish situation at Aston Villa? Man City came in and bought him, and we all said he's not worth 100 million. But he was worth 100 million to Aston Villa to lose. So that's why they put that price tag on him, and that's what City have to pay. For us with Trent, I think we'll all agree he's probably somewhere between an 80 and 120 million pound footballer with his contract sorted out. But we could lose him for nothing. For zip, nada, free. And then we have to go and replace him. So his wages, the idiot tax applies in my opinion. Right, so let's check in on the poll that we put up earlier. Does Trent leave for free? 62% of you guys still feel no, that he won't leave for free. And 38% are saying that yes, he will leave for free. Of the 62%, I'm imagining there's a large percentage of you guys and girls that just can't acknowledge it yet, or can't comprehend it yet, or don't want to think about it yet, and are just basing it off your hope. And that's okay. I get it. I'm probably more cynically minded in life than a lot of people. I'm optimistic on some stuff, I'm realistic on other stuff, and I'm pessimistic on some stuff. On this one, I gotta say I'm probably edging to the pessimistic side of it as things sit here. I don't think it's a done deal either way. I don't think a decision's been made about him staying or going, but I do feel that that it's getting more and more concerning. That's what I would say. Stephen said, I know it's quite far away, but I can't see us signing anyone in January unless injuries creeped up on us. The plan is to go out there to try and get a midfielder in January. Now, I read something interesting today. Before I do, a couple of little bits and pieces, my friends. If I could, I'd ask you guys to please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the stream for me if you haven't done so already. Really do appreciate your support on that. But I read something today that kind of gave me a little pause for a second to think about it, and I thought, okay, there might be something to this. So I read a piece today that suggested that since we brought in Arne Slot, Liverpool's hunt for a midfielder has probably changed a lot because of the style of the way we'd want the player to play. So under Jurgen Klopp, as an example, we didn't get the kid that's gone on to Chelsea, Caicedo. We ended up bringing in Endo, and I can understand that because of the way Jurgen wants his number 6 to play. But when Arne came in, different number 6 is needed now. So that means the recruitment team has almost had to go back to the drawing board and look at the players that are going to suit the way Arne Slot wants the team to play. So that gave me pause for a bit of thought today and thought, okay, I can understand that. I still can't understand having no plan B if Martin Zubimendi doesn't make the move. But on that, David Lynch has been quoted today. Let me just get these notes open for you so I can get you up to speed on it. 1 second. So, David Lynch quoted today as saying, Liverpool sources are refusing to rule out going back in for Martin Zubimendi. There is no indications given that bridges between the player and the club have been completely burned. Now that's something that we've said on this channel from speaking with David many times. But to me, the important part in this conversation is, has the player shown any indication that he feels like he made the wrong decision? Because Liverpool may be going back in for him. Very easy to figure out that and say, okay, if they got the nod from Zubimendi, he was the number 1 target. We haven't yet signed a midfielder. Go get him. But I've not seen anything yet to suggest that the player has changed his mind. If he does, then he's that guy. Go get him. But if he doesn't, what we cannot afford to do is just ghost through another window, putting all our eggs in one basket, and that not working out, and then us being left with our balls in our hands saying, what's going on, like? Jasper said, okay, but it still can't be this hard to find one midfielder. The phrase I'm going to use here, bro, is you're preaching to the choir. I've been calling out this midfielder search for a long time, mate, and I don't understand this pig-headedness of only plan A. If plan A doesn't work, after this length of time, and with what's at stake for us, I think you got to have that plan B there. And in January, I hope we pull the trigger on a plan B if plan A, Zubimendi, doesn't come to fruition. So, I don't disagree with you. Coutinho 10 said, hello Craig, off topic, what's your opinion on the appointment of Thomas Tuchel as England manager? So, me answering this question the way I feel about it would probably get me in a lot of trouble. So, I'm going to answer the question as balanced as I can. I think Thomas Tuchel coming into the England team is a good idea. If you look at what they want to do, it's that last step to win a big tournament. Gareth Southgate got to 2 finals. Other than that, there's been a few false dawns in the past with England. But ultimately, nothing since 1966 for a country that has produced some great footballers. And I don't have any issue if I'm looking at this from the outside about a German or Thomas Tuchel coming in to manage England. I think the question should always be, is this the best person for the job? Now, I'm not English, so I don't understand how people feel about a non-English manager. I'm Irish. At times, of course, there hasn't been a great depth of Irish management talent to come in and manage our national team, so we've leaned on other managers. Jack Charlton before, Trapattoni, even the great Bobby Robson. So I'm a little bit different in my thought process on this. I don't understand the fuss about it. Like, I see Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher speaking about the whole St. George's Park and the FA and the conveyor belt they're trying to build. And that's all very well and good, and I understand their point, but ultimately, who's the manager? If you want an English manager, who is the manager? Reading last night and watching back pages, they don't feel like they would have been able to afford to buy Eddie Howe out of his Newcastle contract. So that was a non-runner financially. So who is it? Is this really a foreigner thing, or is this a German thing? I watched Sky Sports interviewing a lot of England fans today asking about this, and some people said, I don't mind, and some people said, it's a German. It's a German. If we win the World Cup, have we won it, or has the German won it? So, I think a lot of it's to do with the mindset of certain people. If we look at this from just this question, is he a better manager than Gareth Southgate? The answer has to be yes. Is he a better alternative than Lee Carsley? Well, at the moment in time, yes, he is. That should be the end of it for me. And it's an 18-month deal as well. So everybody has to succeed for this to be a long-term thing. Thomas Tuchel has to deliver for England, or this is going to be an 18-month project. So, you know, I'm an outsider. I'm Irish. I'm not here to tell English people how to think, but I don't understand some of the fuss in this in the media. And Harry Redknapp baffles me. To see him on Sky last night saying, you don't need to do much coaching as a national team manager. You get 20 to 30 minutes with the players. You come in, you give them the big speech, you tell them how they have to be proud to play for the country, and you go out there and you just let them do their thing. That's just complete bullshit and waffle. Like, let's be honest, let's call this stuff out. It's absolute nonsense. It's not just a case of go on out there, lads, you know, G them up and go, you have to have tactics. Of course you do. You have to have a system that suits for the players. You have to be able to communicate your ideas. You do need a damn good coach. It is a different thing from managing a club day to day. Of course it is. But listening to Redknapp last night, I just thought football's moved on. We're all of Bayern's own making. They didn't give the kid a chance to succeed. You know, he wasn't given a chance to show what he can do. So, Oh well. Tough ski. What happens if England play Germany in a World Cup final? Surely Tuchel would want Germany to win. Don't worry about the lag. It's back. I can see it here now. It's back up. Don't worry. Just refresh it. Rather than write the word lag, just refresh. He's a professional. He's going to go about doing his job. You know. Moyes would be a great manager for Scotland, said Alex Macklin. Right, anywho, let's check in on this poll and we'll end it and see what people think. So, will Trent leave for free? 62% said no, Trent won't leave for free. Now we're going to move on to Mohamed Salah and ask the very same question. Right, so same question. Will Salah leave for free? Let's see how you guys are feeling about this one. And then, of course, we'll move on to Virgil van Dijk in a second as well. I would be in... you know what? I'm on the fence on the Trent stuff, like I said a few minutes ago. I can't go one way or the other on it. I'm still unsure as to what's going to happen there. What I will say is, I feel like as each day goes by, I'm probably edging closer to him leaving than staying. But that could be my pessimistic nature. So yeah, I'm on the fence on Trent. Virgil, I think he stays. Salah, I think he goes. That's where I'm at with these situations. I've always felt, of the three of them, Salah was the one most likely to go. Because of Edwards. And that, I'm going to be really honest, that's the one for me on this one. I think Edwards will look into the Salah situation and look and think, okay, the numbers are probably going to show in the future there'll be a drop-off, so it's about figuring out when this drop-off is going to be. Because he relies on pace and he relies on certain things as well. Now, that's not to say that Mo hasn't evolved his game a bit. Of course he has. But Virgil is showing that he's still at the peak. The recovery pace is still there. The rhythm of game is still there. The aerial stuff is still there. With Michael Edwards, I've always felt that Salah was the tricky one. And, you know, it's not just me. You say rubbish, mate, but it's the opinion of journalists that I've had on the channel and spoken to as well. So you can say it's rubbish all you want, but ultimately, if it is rubbish, why hasn't he gotten a new deal? Answer me that then. Rather than just saying rubbish, tell me why he hasn't gotten a new deal, if I'm wrong. That's the only thing I can think of. Because every other metric you look at, Salah's still delivering. Started the season really well. Goals and assists. I just get the feeling with it's Edwards on this one for me. I just don't think Edwards wants to commit to another 2-3 years of a player in attack at that age. That's my reading of the situation. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just telling you that's my take on it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Now, if you ask me what I want all three of them renewed. I want all three of them to stay at the club. I think all three of them still have a lot to offer. What was the best meal I had in Turkey? God. It was one of the nights in the hotel, an all-inclusive thing. I had like loads of different grilled meats and rice, and it was just gorgeous, mate. The Turkish people know how to cook meat. I'll say that. Absolutely top-notch. What have we got? I would think of Owen when I see Trent if he left, said Brett Young. So, if Trent left, of course I'd be disappointed. I would. But I don't know how I'd feel about it yet. And that's the truth. That's why I've been so hesitant to give my feelings on that scenario. Because I don't know how I'd feel. Because I don't know how I feel now. I know right now I'm angry at the club. I'm angry at letting the situation happen. But I haven't yet got to process Trent leaving. Because I'm still not sure that's going to happen. So I don't want to subject myself to that level of misery when it hasn't happened yet. So I don't know how I'm going to view him in the future. But somebody asked the question, if he left now, would he be a Liverpool legend? Somebody asked that question, and that question I am prepared to answer. No, he wouldn't be. Not if he left now. That's the fairest I can be. Has he been a big part of our success? Yes. But a club legend? I don't think club legends leave the club in the lurch and walk out. So if he did leave, I wouldn't be considering him a legend. Personally, I would consider him a hugely talented footballer that achieved his dreams and won stuff at his boyhood club. But I reserve legendary status for, you know, the very, very, very top echelons of the players who've delivered at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Why is it on Trent? Why is what on Trent? Again, I've said multiple times, and I can't fucking say this enough, it's on the club. Again, I'm going to have to say the same thing. It's on the club. I'm not blaming anybody here from the player's perspective because I don't know. It's on the club. The club have to sort this out. The club have allowed this situation to develop. So I have no anger to the players. My anger is at the club. And I've said that so many times, mate, tonight. So many times. If Salah leaves, where does he play next year? At a guess, PSG. Maybe Barcelona. Again, I don't know. You know, he'd be free to negotiate a contract wherever he wants. I don't see him going to Saudi. Like, I think too much left in the tank to go to Saudi yet. So PSG, Bayern. Maybe Bayern fancy a look at him. I don't know. You know, you're thinking of who would be able to pay Mo, you know, the signing on fee and the wages that I'm sure he'd ask for. And, you know, then you're looking at Italy and thinking probably not the money in the Italian game at the minute to be able to do that. Spain, Real Madrid are pretty tied up there at the moment with lots of talent and high wage bill. Barcelona, they are looking to build something there in the future as well. And there's some talk that maybe they're looking for Haaland to be the big signing when they move back into the Camp Nou. So, I don't know, but they're the only ones I can really think of. Matt said, is it on the club if they have offered him to be the third highest paid player of all time? Yes, it is. Because they didn't offer him this a year ago. So, it's on the club because they've allowed doubts to creep into Trent's mind. They've allowed Trent to feel, do they really want me here? Am I valued here? Why wasn't this sorted out a while ago? So, yeah, it is on the club. Like, they did make him this offer last year when we had way more wiggle room and way more time to negotiate. So, yeah, I'm still going to stand by, yes, it's on the club, mate. Wasn't that you, Craig? Somebody above was answering. All good, mate. All good. Remember, sometimes I just see a word or two in the chat and that's all I have to go off. I don't always have the context of the conversations. But all good, my man. All good. So let's check in on this poll. So we asked, will Salah leave for free? Wow. 71% so far think Mo's going to leave for free. So that poll's still up there for you to vote if you get a chance. And again, I've got some good news. I'm going to bring you some good news in a minute. Sorry, I forgot about the good news. Just a reminder, tickets are on sale for a live show at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool. November the 15th, we're going to be there. Friday night, it's an all ages event. We're going to have music, we're going to have comedy, we're going to have singing, and we're going to have me sweating like a pig. So we hope you can come along and see us. If you want to do so, you can get your tickets with the link in the description. If you have any questions about it or anything like that, email me and I'll do my best to answer them. contact@AnfieldAgenda.com. So, the good news. The good news is, and I'm delighted to say this, today, or late last night I should say, we agreed a deal to extend our partnership with Manscaped into early next year, which will make Manscaped one of our longest serving partners at the club, or at the channel I should say, excuse me, and something that we're really proud of. So, good news in that regard. Delighted to stay working with our friends at Manscaped, and without giving away too much, I'll say one more thing. It's a record deal for us. It's a record partnership for us. It's the biggest brand deal we've ever signed as a channel. And I'm incredibly proud. I'm incredibly proud of us, of you guys, because without you and your support and using our code, if you fancy getting yourself a Manscaped product or whatever, we simply wouldn't be here. So I wanted to share the good news with you because, you know, you want to take every little win you can get in these dark times. So appreciate you all and thank you for playing a part of this journey with us so far, and thank you for helping us to get to this point. And also, I love chatting about Manscaped stuff. I love segueing into talking about shaving your nuts and all the other stuff. And thank you to you all for your kind words. Means a lot. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I felt like we needed a win at the moment as well. And it was lovely to get that message of confirmation in last night. Right, so Fabrizio Romano has given us a little bit of good news. So Mark sent me this on, and thank you, Mark, as always, for sending it on. Mark sent on a post that said, at Fabrizio Romano, Trent is giving his priority to Liverpool. I guess that's good to read, but my question is, what does priority mean? You know, that's what I don't understand, because Real Madrid aren't going to pay Trent what Liverpool are going to pay Trent. So I don't understand what that means with regards to priority. Look, it's good to read, don't get me wrong. It's much better than reading Trent's off to Madrid. But what does it mean? You know, they're not going to pay him the same as us. They just aren't. So it'll come down to, does Trent feel that he can achieve what he wants to achieve at Liverpool? And if I'm Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, I'm reminding Trent that there's a Super League supposed to be starting next year that Real Madrid are supposed to be in. So how is that going to happen? What if Real Madrid players or anyone that signs with the Super League gets banned from playing international football? So again, two big clubs in world football right now, Real Madrid and Manchester City. For other reasons, I would say it would be a risk to sign for those clubs, because you don't know what's happening with the Super League. And I said this to everybody for at least a year and a half now. I get the feeling that Real Madrid are stacking the deck in favour of saying to UEFA, come on, take us on then. Are you going to ban Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Courtois? You're going to ban all these superstars of world football from playing in your events? That's what I feel Real Madrid have been doing here, is building this group of Galacticos behind the scenes so that they basically can call the bluff of UEFA on this situation. So that's one thing to take into account as well if you're Trent. Same with any player that's looking to go to Man City. You know, I've seen lots of stuff suggesting, Ruben Amorim might be the next Man City manager. I wouldn't be signing any contract to manage Man City based off what we're seeing happening right now and based off the charges hanging over their head. I wouldn't be sending a player to play for Manchester City right now based off these 115 charges and what might be the outcome of that. So we need to use these things to our advantage as well and put those doubts into the players' minds, as well as convincing them of the fact that we want them to stay. Carvajal earns 200 grand a week. Do you think Trent will earn more than him? Yes and no. So some of Trent's pay here could be a signing on bonus. So make no mistake about this as well, by the way. If Trent signs on to stay at Liverpool, he's probably going to receive a nice hefty signing on bonus as well. So on top of the wages that we'd pay Trent, you know, I'm almost certain that there'll be a lump sum of cash there for Trent as well to sign on again. So yeah, no, I don't think that they would. They'd probably pay him 200 grand a week, maybe a little more, but I don't think they'd pay him what we'd pay him or what we'd have to pay him. Sorry, I'm trying to play catch up on one of Rachel's posts here. People are congratulating her. I'm just trying to figure out what happened. Well, obviously it's good news if it's a congratulations thing, but I can't figure out what it is, Rachel. Sorry. Tammy said, Jude is getting into Trent's head. Wish our owners would sort out Salah, Virgil, Trent contracts. It's frustrating for us fans. Oh, a new job. Oh, class. Well in. Congrats, Rachel. That's great news. Yeah, well in. Delighted for you, my friend. The hopeful guy said, with the spine of the Klopp era team mainly moved on, or nearly all gone, you can see Trent's point of view. Only VVD, Ali, Robbo and Gomez are left. That's kind of... There's always going to be a natural evolution. But you've said that those players have left, and of course they have, but we've also brought in McAllister, Gravenberch, Soboslai. It's not like Liverpool haven't added good players into the squad as well. So, yes, these players have left, but sometimes that's just a natural progression for these guys to move on as well. Now, we can talk about whether they left for fees or not, and that's another conversation. But, you know, we have brought in good footballers. Craig is the go. Yes. Yes, he is, Larkin. You're correct, mate. You know, you're correct. Well done. Apparently FSC has offered him 280 grand a week, which he rejected. Now, again, Mads, I don't know whether that's conjecture or true or false, but I will certainly put it to David tomorrow, who he has great sources. He used to work for the club, so yeah, we'll see what David Lynch has to say in it tomorrow. If he rejected 280 grand a week, and again, big if, because I don't know, I think it's a fair offer from the club. You know, could you eke out a little bit more if you're Trent's agent? Maybe. But it's certainly in the fair, realistic pot of money category for me. Like, you know, it's not a derisory offer if that's the case. And it's a big if. Indie news. IndyCar doesn't have news. Just doesn't. Anybody who can hide behind a name that doesn't need to show their face or face the world or own up to anything that they've done, I don't really have much time for. Because for all I know, that account could be run by a 13-year-old over in, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, anywhere, with zero intention to do anything other than make money or monetize the account. And that's why I always ignore these type of stories, because let's be honest, it's bullshit. Whatever it is, it's bullshit. Exclusive, Virgil van Dijk's very close to agreeing the new contract. The breakthrough was made in the last 24 hours. So here's that's called hedging your bets. That's if you know of a breakthrough, what was the breakthrough? Because other sources today have said that the club are going to start talking to him in a few weeks. So to say there was a breakthrough last night, that's great, but tell us the breakthrough. What's the length of contract? What is the actual news? This vagueness, it's just, there's just nothing to it. Anybody can do that. I just don't trust it, sorry, I just don't. IFI must said a fair offer, but FSG are lowballing him, knowing they'll have to pay the idiot tax. Look, again, we don't know if that was a real offer or not. That's just a number we've seen thrown around on social media today that none of us can really stand over and say one way or the other if it's true or not. So, again, I'm going to be speaking with David Lynch tomorrow, and if there's any questions you guys would like me to put to David, throw them into the chat now, and I'll do my best to get through as many of them as I can. Obviously, I'm going to be asking David about Trent, about Virgil, about Mo. I'm going to be asking him about Jamie Gittins and the links to him. One thing we haven't actually spoken about yet today, and I wanted to bring back up, was Georgi Mamardashvili and his comments, which I really like, to be honest with you. Georgi Mamardashvili said, I will fight for the starting position, even if the current goalkeeper does not leave. Good. That's what I want to hear. You know, I want a goalkeeper that looks at the best goalkeeper in the world in Alisson Becker and thinks, I'm not coming in to sit on the bench. I'm coming in to fight for that spot. I'm coming in to be the number one. Perfect. That's the mindset I want. So yeah, I was very happy to see those words and those quotes from Georgi Mamardashvili. Good. That's what I want. Let the battle commence. I mean, it can only be a good thing to have 2-3 great goalkeepers at the club pushing each other on. Yeah. Let the battle begin. Will you ask about Omar Marmoush as well? I asked them on Monday about Omar Marmoush, mate, and again, the thought process there seems to be certainly somebody you would keep an eye on if you're Liverpool or any other club, but we don't really have a space at the moment. Now, if we lost Mo or if we lost Darwin, of course, this becomes a different conversation. But right now, I don't know that David has anything confirmed to say that there was a plan in place with Omar Marmoush, but certainly Liverpool have been keeping tabs on him. That's the perceived wisdom here. Sean has said Georgi Mamardashvili is one of those names you have to say the whole thing. Yeah, it's fun to say as well, and fun to flex a little bit on, because, you know, it's a name that for the first week I was like, now I'm like, Georgi Mamardashvili, bitches. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's Georgie. But yeah, 6'6", just under 2 meters. And yeah, that's the mentality that I want of a player coming to Liverpool Football Club. Be respectful. Alisson's a great goalkeeper, but you're not coming here to sit on the bench. I like it. And maybe any left back news. Yeah, no problem, Connor. I'm very intrigued, and I think David is as well, by the situation at left back, because, you know, we've been having these conversations since the summer on the channel between us and David, and look, it's been great getting to know him over the few months, but we've both been of a mindset that we do expect something to happen at left back in the near future. It'll probably have to come down to the club moving Costas on and then looking to that long-term challenger to Andy Robertson's position. A couple of names have done the rounds. We spoke about them yesterday. There's the guy from Benfica. Obviously, there's Ryan Knight-Nuri as well, from Wolves, who Liverpool have been linked to it, and a few other left-backs. So, yeah, I think there is a perceived wisdom that is quite high in the pecking order of Liverpool priorities in the window. Any centre-back links? No. Actually, Adam, no. I have not heard a single name doing the rounds, or haven't had a conversation with anyone about a centre-back at all. I mean, if you look at it right now, we've got four centre-backs. One of them being Joe Gomez, who I feel bad for Joe. I do. I feel really sad for Joe, because he's not really getting the minutes yet this season, and he's a really good footballer, but is he a really good footballer who is just that tiny bit away from being good enough to own a position? It's a difficult one. Like, in the summer, when there were some conversations about maybe Joe moving on, I was open-minded to it, because I had sympathy with Joe. I could understand where he was coming from. But he decided to stay, and that's great. But, you know, if you go through another season with him not really getting some opportunities, you know, it probably then causes an issue. Yeah, I don't know what else to say on it about Joe Gomez, because I thought we were going to see a bit more of him this season, even as, you know, a bit part player, or, you know, a rotation player. You know, he can play left back, right back, centre back. Sean, I said, I see Kelleher to Bournemouth and Ali to Bayern next year. So then that still leaves us with a problem, Shauna. You know, if we lost Kelleher and we lost Alisson, well, remember one more thing in this conversation, that Yaros's contract is up at the end of this season. So there's 3 goalkeepers there potentially going out the door. You would imagine we have to keep one of them around. Like, I don't see it being Kelleher, because I think Kelleher's going to want to push on and nail down a starting berth somewhere. And again, I've got every bit of understanding with Queeveen on that. Mamardashvili's obviously coming in to try and force his way in. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think we're going to see 2 of Mamardashvili, Alisson and Kelleher. 2 of those 3 at the club. Maybe Yaros, if the club agree an extension with him. Garfu said, Joe Gomez is a jack of all trades and master of none. Here's one for you. Sometimes a jack of all trades and a master of none are better than a master of some. So, yeah, he is, but a hugely important utility player. I mean, to have that option as a gaffer, a player who can come in and play admirably in 3 different positions across the back line, you know, that's important. You know, most managers have one or 2 of those at their club. Even look at Gertrude at Feyenoord under Arne Slot. So, you know, I wouldn't be sneezing about a jack of all trades either. There was a story of Liverpool looking at another goalkeeper. There was, Lynn. I can't remember. You're right about the story, mate. Definitely are. I just, off the top of my head, I can't remember who that goalkeeper was. Is there any truth to FSG being open to selling for 5 billion? Not that I'm aware of. I guess there's 2 ways to look at this situation. Pretty much most things in life have a number. And if that number is put on the table, you probably consider it. But taking John W. Henry's own words into consideration, when he said that they were in expansion mode and he asked, when's the last time we sold something? So I don't believe that they're actively looking to sell. Now, of course, there was this whole hypothesis that they were talking with Saudi, and you know they've done some business with Saudi in the golf world, and I think we've opened up or are about to open up an academy in Saudi Arabia. So then there was all this talk that are they looking to eventually sell out to Saudi? And of course, that would be a very, very difficult situation for a whole host of reasons. Namely, they own Newcastle, or that fund own Newcastle. So I don't know of anything imminent. I don't know if they're actively looking to sell, nor do I know of a 5 billion quid offer. So right, the Mohamed Salah poll, we've had over 500 votes and 69% say that Mohamed Salah will leave for free. 31% say that he will stay. Now we move on to our captain, Virgil van Dijk. Right, so question. Will VVD leave for free? That's the last poll topic from these 3. So vote away. And do drop a like on the stream, by the way, if you haven't done so. Let's see if we can get us up to 500. We're at 414 at the minute. So if you haven't, please do hit that like button. Gravenberch has done brilliantly so far this season. Oh, Tammy, he's been phenomenal. Without a doubt, the player of the season so far. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. It's been a pleasure watching that young man play football this year. Whitehammer. So I'm going to need a bit more information on this one, bro. You've said big claims have been made now. Do we believe them? I need individual claims, so I'm going to try and answer all 3 of them. So the Virgil saying stuff. Do I believe there was a breakthrough last night? Not sure. Do I believe he stays? Yes. Mohamed Salah. Claims made that from team talk that he's likely to leave. Where do I sit on that? I probably agree with that. Now, I don't know that to be a fact, but I probably agree that I think Salah will leave. The Trent one, I'm absolutely on the fence on. But I'll be honest, as I've said, as it goes along, the more it drags on, the more I'm easing towards him leaving. At the moment, I'm probably 55% he stays, 45% he leaves. That's probably where I'm at with Trent at the minute. But ask me this question in 2 or 3 weeks and I'm probably gone the other direction if it's not sorted out. Especially with one more international break coming up, which is one more opportunity for more manipulation in the media, for more Real Madrid conversations between Jude Bellingham and Trent. And also, somebody asked me about Rodrigo. So there was a report yesterday. I'm going to read it out to you now, just in case you weren't with us yesterday. 1 second. So there's a report that came out yesterday from a French magazine called Le Foot that said Rodrigo is not happy with his playing time at Real Madrid and indications that a change of scenery could benefit his career. He was already mentioned at Liverpool as a potential Mohamed Salah successor. And then they go on to talk about an £83.5 million price tag. Now look, I feel comfortable saying this. I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't. I know that Liverpool have long been linked with Rodrigo and tried to sign Rodrigo when he was over in Brazil. But let me say this. If we lost Mohamed Salah, would I be happy if Rodrigo came through the door? Yes, I would. I would be very happy if Rodrigo came through the door. Nobody is going to come in and do Mohamed Salah numbers. Nobody. I don't care who you are. My expectation will be no one's going to deliver those numbers. But this would be a very good attempt at bringing in somebody to really add to the team. And I'd be fully behind a move for Rodrigo. I would. Now, some people don't feel the same way about Rodrigo. I think last season in particular, I felt like he really pushed on at Real Madrid. I can also imagine a scenario where Rodrigo looks around and feels a little bit like the forgotten man. You know, Vini Jr., Mbappe, Bellingham, Valverde, lots of other options there for Madrid. Obviously, Endrick came in through the door there as well. So you're probably thinking, if you're him, are you going to continue to get the game time? Are you going to get the love? And honestly, I don't know the answer to that, but I can understand the situation where maybe he has looked around and thought, I need to reevaluate here, because maybe he was promised stuff when he went to Madrid that isn't coming to fruition now. Maybe he was told he was going to be the guy. But yeah, if we lost Mo and brought him in, I think that would be, I'd be happy enough with that. Big Fist says, all the greats have left. Salah can leave if he wants, but money, we definitely need to bring in a Núñez replacement. Well, look, that's if Núñez doesn't work out this season. You know, it's not going great with Uruguay either. I think Marcelo Bielsa is under pressure, you know, in the media over there, and there could be talks of him getting the chop. So, you know, it's a difficult time for Darwin at the minute, both for country now and at Liverpool. And I hope the kid digs his heels in and fights for his place and shows us what he's about. But I'm reserving judgment on Darwin until, you know, further into the season for me. I think it's too early to make assessments yet. But I don't think the idea of considering a replacement down the line is stupid. I mean, you've got to cover all bases here. And if he doesn't work out, you know, you don't want to just continue to flog a dead horse. You want to own that mistake and move on if that's the case. Why were people jeering Núñez? Yeah, you see, that's the echo. That's the echo once again. Scaremongering. Because the entire Uruguayan team were booed off the pitch. Because they've gone to back-to-back draws last night at home in a game that they should have been winning. And they were all booed off the pitch. But the echo were called out on this by, not us for once, other accounts on social media, other Liverpool accounts. And I'm going to continue to say what I've said about the Echo for a long time. I don't know who they represent. You know, I don't know who they're there to support. It certainly doesn't seem to be the Liverpool fans and the readers, because if you look at the headlines in the last week, scaremongering about injuries, misleading headlines about injuries, it's just... And then you've got Ian Doyle as well with his sly little snidey dig at some Liverpool fans saying some Liverpool fans would rather we were Chelsea or Manchester City. I don't know anybody who feels that way. I felt like that was a low point from him, and I felt like it was a cheap shot on a pod. Paul Gorst tried to say to me on X, even though I'm not on there, but I seen the post, to say, maybe watch the whole pod. I don't need to. The context is there. It's idiotic. He should know better. He should do better. It's just... Yeah, that whole publication for me has gone massively downhill since the days of James Pearce and others that have been there, and it's sad to see, quite frankly. You know, they're resorting to stuff that if we did it on YouTube, we'd be clickbaited, we'd be called clickbaiters, and the misleading headlines, the grammar and spelling mistakes, it's just all... And that's before we even get into the website. The website, if any of you have ever tried to use it, you know what I mean. It's... you get a headache. using that website. You like complaining when there's nothing to complain about. So, what have I done, Crowlers, that's complaining, mate? I mean, I know you're trying to bait me, so I'm going to be calm about responding to you. Are you happy at the minute, mate, with the contract situations with Virgil, with Trent and with Mo? You're happy with that, or you think this is all a hand, Liverpool are doing a great job? So nothing to complain about here, yeah? You're happy about that. If that's the case, you do you, bro. Work away. But remember, I'm here to give my feelings, to report the news, and to talk about what's happening at the club. And I'm not always going to be sunshine and lollipops, mate, because life is not that way. And I know you're just another... I won't even call you a troll because I don't know you, but you're trying to bait me. And I'm moaning about stuff that I think we've every right as Liverpool fans to be pissed off and concerned about, which is allowing these situations to develop. So that's my take on it. If you think differently, you do you. Ben Barrett said, I haven't got any fingernails left because of these contract talks. Fingernails, yeah. It's just anger for me, mate, at this point. Just anger. Chiesa injury update. You know what? I don't know. I will get to that tomorrow. Sorry, I'm giving you an honest answer. I don't know of an update. I will ask David about that tomorrow. I'm going to put that in my notes right now to make sure I don't forget. We gave you an update yesterday on... We gave you an update yesterday on Jayden Danns, who is starting to increase his workload now and his recovery. He's going to be starting to up his training. David Lynch told us he was out running. He's now doing a few more bits and pieces, so he's going to be back with the 21s, getting some much needed game time. Harvey Elliott, as we know, is in the gym working his way back. I think Dave will see Kopp said earlier on, likely to be the latter part of October before he's ready to go again. But I will ask on Chiesa, mate, my apologies. Sorry, I'm just putting out my notes here now for you so don't forget. Danny said, can't wait to see Danns again. I'm intrigued to see what the plan is for Jayden Danns once he's back fit again. You know, do we loan him out in the January window, or do we use him to give him opportunities to try and give us another option in attack? Like right now, we've probably got 3 central striking options that the manager has utilised so far. Jota, Darwin and Chiesa. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what the plans are from... You would imagine a loan would be the sensible one, but let's wait and see. Have you noticed trolls are usually names you never see in the chat? Yeah, so there's 2 things that I don't think a lot of people realise about our industry. Sometimes these trolls come in from other channels, and it's very easy to find them and track them back. You just go look at these channels' comments and you see these names all over the place. And they come in to try and bait you so that they then can go, look at this scumbag. I knew there was something about this lad. Look at him. So I'm kind of getting used to it. And again, I spoke about my holiday being a bit of a chance to reset. You haven't seen me going in on anybody since I've come back. I haven't done it because I'm not giving them the satisfaction, because I take it as a sign that I'm doing something right. If people are trying to bait me and trying to undermine me and trying to come in with backhanded compliments and stuff that really are just trying to bait me, I'm doing something right. And I know I'm good at what I do. And I know I'm honest in what I do. So I'm trying not to give a shit what they think. Brett said, should I be worried about our club's future with these owners? It depends what you mean by worried. Should you be worried about the club being in a financial mess? No, I think they've done a good job in that regard, and I'll give them the credit on it. Should you be worried about the club being competitive in the future? I think at the moment, yeah, you've every right to say, I'm unsure. You know, great start under Arne Slot. Recruitment in the summer was not good enough. Chiesa in, a good opportunistic signing. Georgi Mamardashvili, good one for the future, but not the positions we needed strengthening in. Then you have the situation with the contract. So yeah, I think you've every right to be a bit concerned about the future. Jurgen left. Lots of us wonder why. Was it because he was tired, or was that one factor in a multi-factor decision? Then you've got the stuff coming out from John Achterberg about, we wouldn't have signed Allison if we signed Nabil Fekir because we wouldn't have had the money. So I'm just going to say what I've said all along and stick to the same line. I think FSG are cheap. And nothing's going to change my mind on that other than them suddenly realising that football has moved on and Liverpool Football Club needs to be competitive and we should have access to the same levels of spending that our peers and our rival clubs have. With the exceptions, of course, of some like Manchester City and Chelsea who are just spending stupid amounts of money or have never-ending access to money. So again, something here from Ian Doyle on the Blood Red podcast. Liverpool don't need lots of players, but we have seen before that if they can add one or two, they'll spend in January. If Zubamendi wants to leave Sociedad in January, I think Liverpool will try to sign him. We know that they have the money there for him. If he fancies it, Liverpool quite clearly going for him. Well, that's fair enough. I don't really have any pushback on that. I think that's perceived wisdom on that situation. Right. Pavlog said, big fan of yours, Craig. Keep up the good work. Wanted to ask, I've been thinking of starting a blog, maybe Liverpool development or something similar. Any tips? Just add a bit of humour into it, mate, and be yourself. There's a lot of people out there who can do updates and vlogs, but a little funny twist to it. Let people know who you are. Show your personality through what you're doing, and have fun. That's the most important thing, mate. If you start it and you're enjoying doing it, then that's brilliant. And if that shows, which I'm sure it would in your work, I'm sure everything else will follow suit. I've always tried the same thing on this channel. Be me, be myself, be humorous, be sincere, but most importantly, be consistent. Make sure that people know when I'm going to be on. Make sure that people know what to expect from us. And make sure that we remember what side our bread's buttered on and who put us where we are. So yeah, you be you, man, and I wish you nothing but the best. But I always encourage everybody to have a go with these things, because if I didn't have a go 6-7 years ago, I wouldn't be here now. This wouldn't be my job. I wouldn't be about to achieve my dream of buying a family home. I bought my first new car this year. Lots of great stuff. Bought the first company van for our company over the last week. Signed for it, or got it on Monday when we came home from holidays. I didn't think my life would get to this point, and Liverpool's fans and you guys gave me that opportunity. So I'd always say, go for it, my man. Go for it. Give it a shot. What was your favourite game to play growing up? So do you mean computer games, or what would have been my favourite one? Mario Kart. Honestly, still, if I ever do drift in to play a little bit of gaming, and I don't do much of it, to be honest, but if I do, it's usually Mario Kart. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call that a night, and I will see you wonderful people tomorrow. We're recording with David Lynch. That'll be out at about 5:30. I'll be live tomorrow at 8:45, and then on Friday morning I'm going to put out the preview for the Chelsea game, of course, that's coming up at the weekend, and we will be doing a watch along of that on here. One quick favour before you head off, and I will finish this poll as well. So 87% of you guys feel that Virgil van Dijk will stay at Liverpool Football Club and will not leave for free, and I'm very much in that camp as well. So yeah, do drop a like for me before you head off if you could. And again, thank you for dropping in tonight. Really enjoyed catching up with you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Much love, my friends. Bye-bye.